Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Homo sapiens, remote learners and key turners, welcome along to the Gamesmanship podcast, the show forever at the crease of sporting insight. As ever, my name is Joseph Spivey. Alongside me in spirit is the one, the only, the George Wilson. How are we, sir?
Very good, nice and warm down here in Brighton.
Yeah, it's pretty hot, mate. Pretty hot up here too. So we just in the last sort of 15 minutes, the grand conclusion to the Tour de France has occurred. We are on the Champs-Élysées. We are quaffing champagne. We are loving absolutely every single minute of it. Jonas Vingegaard has been rampant in yellow. He has won the Tour de France by 4 days, is it? About 4.5 days at this point. He's well ahead. Tadej Pogačar attacks on the Champs-Élysées, as one does. Says goodbye to convention. Wout Van Aert is in the green jersey and now has the green jersey tattooed to his body, as he will now wear that jersey for approximately a quarter of a century. And we have Jasper Philipsen, whom I am undocumented as having predicted to have won today's stage. My grandfather can attribute to that, if none of you believe me, which I'm sure you all do. It's been a pretty tasty last few days, George, in the Tour as well. Just to round it all off, what have you made of it?
Well, who cares about who won today? It's a day for Jonas Vingegaard, and it's a day for Wout Van Aert, and a day for Jumbo-Visma.
Yeah,
quite frankly, like how many stages did they win? 5, 6 in this tour?
There was a point where they won a stage every 3 days. So I think it was 6 in the end. Yeah, you had Van Aert won. Van Aert won a time trial and 2 sprints. Vingegaard won 2 mountain stages, and Leclerc won what should have been a sprint as well. So they won, didn't he win
the first TT?
No, we thought we did. I tuned out and started watching Pornhub compilations of him, didn't I? But then Yves Lampard stormed through in better conditions.
Anyway, it's just a Jumbo-Visma this season have been unbelievable. The way that
Wout Van Aert really shouldn't be doing what he's doing. Like the last time a green jersey rider contributed in the mountains, it's never happened. Sean Kelly was a mountain climber, and he was in the green jersey occasionally. But to put this into sporting context, guys, listeners, the idea of Wout Van Aert being able to do what he's doing, it's like, I don't know, giving Zach Crawley the new ball to bowl at like KL Rahul or something like that. It's like he really and then Zach Crawley just sends one down there and Rahul has a nibble at it, and then it's in the hands of second slip. That is how stupidly good Wout Van Aert is at every single policy of it. I like
how you attempted to make a quite niche reference more popular by going for an even nicher reference than Zach Crawley.
Even niche. Okay, it's like
I would have gone for it's like Usain Bolt helping out Mo Farah in the marathon. Well, I mean, because it was an amazing scene on the last mountain stage in the Pyrenees when you had the green jersey, the white jersey, and the yellow jersey all 2 minutes up the road from everyone else, and it was just like, these are the 3 best cyclists of the world at the moment. It doesn't matter what they decide to do, whether it's going to go for sprints, going to go for mountains. They're the 3 best riders, and they could just do it all.
Yeah, and
it completely throws out convention that you have to specialise in either way.
Well, you do still have to specialise in something, not everybody is Wout Van Aert, George. No, men are not born equal, contrary to popular opinion. If, you can go all crazy like that if you've got his legs and lungs, but not a lot of people have. But just a word on that. I mean, we've spoken to quite a sexual extent about Wout Van Aert over the last few weeks, and I would just like to compound that ever more. He's a great interviewee. He answers questions really well. He's all but fluent in English. Some would say more fluenter than some of us. So that's always a good thing. He's got a wonderful partner. I'm sure they have great sex at home. Wout Van Aert is a serial alpha. I can tell. I don't know about you, George, but I think he's sort of he's Burstowian in his nature. Anyway. Go on.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant tour. And a quick word on the Ineos Grenadiers boys, the trio of Thomas, Pidcock and Yates doing it for the Brits, and Ineos having they won a tour stage, Thomas getting on the podium. I think it's a successful tour for Ineos.
Given what they were up against, it was successful.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And I think, we're in for a treat with... Because I really like Vingegaard, because although he did do
Sorry,
better
can I have
than...
that surname again, please?
Vingegaard.
This is your Danish speaking exam, young man. Treat it professionally.
Because obviously he beat Pogacar in the final TT, which is a bit unexpected.
That was wild, yeah, really.
But you do get the sense that Pogacar does have the higher power output between the two of them and would have a better kick in sprints. But Vingegaard has this advantage in the very, very, very top altitudes.
Very high mountains, yeah, he does. Yeah, just the best pure climber in the race, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be a great balance for next year and the years to come, where Pogacar can put time into him potentially on the steeper, lower altitude climbs and in the TTs, and Vingegaard's just going to have to go berserk on the final 10k of the top climbs in the Pyrenees and the Alps.
Well, I think Pogacar kind of bummed himself this year because he focused too heavily on classics in the early season. So he won Strada Bianca by like 3 minutes on the gravel roads and rode off, and again everybody was just like, reaching for the bottle of lube. And he nearly won Paris-Roubaix, nearly won Flanders and stuff. So whereas Vingegaard was probably like in the Almagren Mountains with a Sherpa, losing weight and drawing blood from his body and this, that and the other. So they had very different lead-ups to the tour. Vingegaard, as I should say, was very much more focused on it, and I think Pogacar. I think there was maybe a bit of an insouciance about it on Pogacar's part, a bit of an arrogance that he won by 5 or 6 minutes, and he was just, he was being silly at the start of the tour. And you could well argue that although he gained 40 or 50 seconds by doing all his sprinting bollocks, that he could well have just, saved energy and potentially have been closer to Vingegaard in the mountains and stuff. And there was the one day when Thomas dropped him. I mean, if Geraint's a good rider, but he's 36, and the man wears a gilet on a time trial, for goodness sake. If he's dropping you, then you're clearly dehydrated, or you need to go into consultancy or something instead of cycling. Danny Martinez was in the breakaway today, George, on the Champs-Elysees. Did you see that?
You're still trying to vindicate. You're still trying to vindicate that bet. But it was, I'd say, cross between vindicate and vilify.
Yeah. Vindify sounds like something from like a Harry Potter novel.
Yeah, you're still trying to vindicate that bet, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm still trying to vindify it, mate. Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's since been revealed that he was ill. So that's what I'm clinging on to for next year. But I don't care. He still looks like the protagonist of a Dolce & Gabbana perfume advert. So I'm still happy with my choice. Still got an elite little goatee going on there, whatever the hell it is. Some good facials. Danny Martinez was in the break. He got in the break 2 days ago as well. He's trying to redeem himself to me, but he's been caned in the classroom in front of the class far too many times this year already. So I'm not going to forgive him. You massive. If somehow you have found on the algorithmic wormhole, Danny, a way of watching this video on my behalf and George's behalf, you are an absolute shell. So please come back better next year and win me some cash, because I will inevitably be betting on you again. Sorry, I lost it a bit there. Went a bit mental. But, Any more sports, George? Oh, we've had F1 today, haven't we? That was marvellous.
Yes, a race for the purists, I think. Charles Leclerc just dropping it round the corner, therefore handing Max Verstappen a win.
Did he say something about his accelerator pedal or something like that? Has he had his, it was there and he pressed it.
No, he had a problem once. He'd already crashed, but there was a brief moment where it looked like it might get interesting if Verstappen would have got unfortunately placed with the timing of the safety car, but that was by the by because he still came out first. And I think he ended up winning by 10 seconds, but he probably could have won by a minute if he was really pushing. And I think the main question at the end of this race, and really at the end at this point in the season, is any danger, Ferrari, of you actually doing something right?
Yeah.
The fuck, they had Carlos Sainz in P3, had overtaken Russell, had overtaken Perez, evidently had 1
And
to
then
2
they pit
seconds
him.
pace per lap, and then they fucking pit him.
Yeah, were they like, because didn't he have a 5-second penalty and he served it in the pit stop? He served it in the pits in front of the jackman instead of doing it like, out on track at the end of the race.
Exactly, because everyone knows that if you overtake someone in Formula 1 at the moment, you have about a second on them, because you wouldn't be able to overtake unless you had the time. There were 10 laps left, so you could have easily put 5 seconds into them, probably maybe caught up to Lewis, and they decide to pit him and put him on medium so he can re-overtake
it's like,
Ocon,
it was
Norris, Ricciardo.
Yeah, it's like he was bored, so it was just like, I'll strap on a new set, go and get the fastest lap of the race or whatever, and then overtake a load of chumps whom are, humanely and physically inferior to me. It was a bizarre thing to witness, but I guess that's the Italians for you, all that razzmatazz and stuff. They've got you have all the guys at the Mercedes. Oh, they have all the strategy and big, they run the numbers, whereas the Italians are just like they just do it by straw or something like that. I don't know how they operate on the sidewall, but it just doesn't seem to work. Poor Carlos. He's in a championship-winning car, and frankly, is really disappointing. Charles Leclerc needs to stop binning it, otherwise he'd be at the top of the standings. And Max Verstappen is boring me.
I don't know how Matteo Binotto still has a job, quite frankly.
No. Nepotism, George.
He's Italian.
Yeah. And Russian oil, I would imagine.
But at least with that questionable, to say the least, pit stop tactics from Ferrari, it gave Mercedes a first double podium of the season.
It did, yeah. Georgie boy got there.
Georgie boy, with a very good last 10-lap battle with Perez.
That was nice, yeah.
Excellent racing between the two of them.
Although there was one lunge, there was Russell did do a little bit. Perez had to take evasive action, and then Russell was moaning over the radio for the next 10-15 minutes about how he'd gone off the track. It's like, well, yeah, mate, because otherwise, you'd have both ended up in the gravel circuit. You fucking chomp.
Yeah, it was a bit. Russell was complaining that Perez didn't give him the position back for the position that Russell never get.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, my front wheel was near his rear wheel. It's like, right, yeah, so you were behind him. Yeah, that's the definition of being behind someone, mate. It's like, if you finished the race and it was like, but I only, we crossed the line and my front wheel was next to his rear wheel. It's like, right, you came second then, alright? Suck it up, mate. Go and have more vanilla sex with your surprisingly attractive girlfriend. Chopper.
Yeah, and we have the now very enticing Alpine McLaren battle, with Alpine going ahead of McLaren in the constructors.
Oh God, I bet that's going to be front and headline news. That, George, can't wait to get my teeth into that over the next season.
Well, I mean, playing on our last episode where we were talking about Daniel Ricciardo, everyone was being very positive about him today, saying our top 10 finish, points finish.
Yeah.
He can build on this, and I say it's complete bollocks.
You shouldn't be praising somebody for a top 10 finish who has a top 10 possibility car.
He qualified a tenth of a second behind Lando. His best lap was still a tenth and a half slower than Lando's. We're saying that this guy's won 10 races. It's that he's now having a good race when he's only a tenth slower, which in Formula 1 terms is half a fucking year.
Yes.
Slower than his teammate who's in his 4th season of F1.
Yeah, we really are. We're taking breadcrumbs, aren't we? When we should be taking meals and stuff from Daniel Ricciardo.
When we should be campaigning for Pierre Gasly in that seat, or someone who's a lot fucking better than Daniel Ricciardo.
Just anyone, mate. Pick any of your F2 men or whoever the hell you could name anyone at this point.
Speaking of which,
go on.
Speaking of which, Nick De Vries in free practice 1.
It's coming.
Putting it round 2/10 slower than George.
Is that what it was? That's not bad.
Hey.
See, I'm not as much of a devotee. I was probably doing something wild on Friday morning or whatever, whenever the hell free practice 1 was. So I didn't quite catch that, George. But yeah, I understand.
But who knew? Well. Who knew the person who won the F2 championship 3 years ago, who's won a Formula E championship, probably would be good enough to be a Formula 1.
He can probably turn a wheel. Yeah, he can probably put his foot down if he wants. Yeah. Cool guy.
But instead we've got Nicholas Latifi driving around at the back pointlessly.
Oi! No, come on. Fucking free Latifi. He's a good. I reckon he's a top bloke. And it's just, if your dad makes money, then you're automatically entitled to have a seat in an F1 car. That's the way in which our society is set up, George. If you create a service in which people will pay you billions of pounds in order to actuate that service, then you can do with your son with what you wish. So I think it's great for Formula One that Nicholas Latifi is in the Williams. Personally,
Well, and we have Hungary next week in the Formula One, which is always a good race. Of course, where Esteban Ocon won last year in thrilling circumstances.
This was Valtteri Bottas, wasn't it? Who, like, the proverbial bull in the china shop, just really went to town in turn one.
did £20 million worth of damage in one corner.
Yeah, it was just like, I'll hit this brake pedal like 170% harder than I should do, and I'll just career off into four blokes, and we'll all end up in the gravel trap, which was fun, and made for great Netflix television. Also, just to go back to road cycling. How do you think the Netflix series... We'll do this close to the time when it's due early next year, but there is the same guys who record and film and script Drive to Survive have been following about 7 or 8 teams at the Tour this year, including Jumbo-Visma. So that should be Jolly Green Giant for May or whatever when it's out. That'll be very good.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, they haven't picked a better year in the last 5-6 years to do it, have they? So,
well, you could maybe have a nibble at 2020 or whatever when Pogacar took it on the last day, but anyway.
Well, but I'm saying because a giant's fallen, you got a new star somehow, and I would like to ask questions about this. How Denmark, and please feel free to write into us, Danish people.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson, Hans Christian Andersen, get in.
Yeah. How have you produced the best climber in the world from an infamously flat country?
Mm. Yeah,
I would like to know this because all of the best British climbers are from North Wales, Yorkshire, Pennines, Scotland, hilly places.
I'll tell you what it is, George. It's modern technology on Zwift on a Wahoo trainer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to know a little more about Wahoo? No, I'm kidding. But that's it's modern technology. It's turbo trainers.
Yeah. Well, we would be able to give you more information about Wahoo if they were to pay us. Mm-hmm. But that's by the by.
Yeah.
So
enter code chopper22 at wahoo.com for 11% off. No.
And enter code, are you Danish? Would you like to ride a bike up hills? Well, you're in luck.
Yeah. Enter code Jonas. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, moving on to our third topic of sport for this week, and this is a bit of self-indulgence for me, but we're going to look at the upcoming T20 World Cup and how potentially India might not win it. Because currently they're just off a ODI tour in the UK, where, quite frankly, they were too good. Mm-hmm. They did some things in Ireland, where Ireland basically rolled over like a cat, and they are currently 1-0 up in the West Indies. Like a cat. They're currently 1-0 up in the West Indies and going pretty well in the second game, looking like they could win that. And these are 3 potentially away series wins with an India B team, because in this most recent ODI against West Indies, there's no Rohit Sharma, there's no Jasprit Bumrah, there's no Bhuvanesh Kumar, there's no Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli's averaging -2.
But I mean, you always judge the greatness of any sports team by the players they have on the bench.
Yeah, you're only as good as your water.
You can always tell. You can always tell there's a great side when you've got someone who would make it into any other international side sitting on the bench. Mm-hmm. And for India, it's just like the amount of players that they don't have playing in these ODIs, and people like Shreyas Iyer, who is one of the best batsmen, T20 and white ball batsmen there are at the moment, isn't playing. You have Dinesh Karthik, who's in the form of his life.
Great pundit as well.
To wicket keep. Ravichandran Ashwin.
Mm-hmm. Ashwin hasn't played for... I haven't seen Ashwin play for ages. I mean, I don't,
Yeah, no need.
Yeah. It's just the best spin bowler in the world, arguably.
Yeah. Ravindra Jadeja. No need.
Yeah, Jadeja, yeah.
It's all right. We'll go with Deepak Huda, Axar Patel, and Yuvendra Chahal, who are doing a completely serviceable job in the West Indies. It's like, I mean, they are just unbelievable.
Yeah, they could do it. They could run a second team, couldn't they? India Bs, India Twos.
I mean, it is India Bs versus the West Indies currently.
Yeah.
Because there's no Rohit. They have Shikhar Dhawan opening the batting. Mm-hmm. There's no Virat Kohli. They got Surya Kumar Yadav in, who is obviously a very good player, but I don't think would potentially make it into their first team ODIs, but maybe he would. There's no Hardik Pandya in this recent game. There's no Krunal Pandya, who was another excellent player who would easily walk into any other...
England side. There you are, mate. There you go. There's a bat. There's a ball. Have a go.
Yep, welcome.
Welcome.
Meanwhile, we're still because, we drew the South Africa series because
thanks to the gods.
Rained out in Yorkshire.
Thank you. Thank you to Goliath or whatever for downing upon us.
But this is all by the by, even though South Africa first lost their warm-up game to England A, where they played the under-19 side, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now the actual England side come up and lose the first ODI, and then Ben Stokes says, "Oh, I can't be asked to do this anymore."
Yeah, sorry, my back.
Interesting.
Hurts again.
Let's have a word on Ben Stokes, and wider sports in general, because obviously he says, "I haven't got enough time to play ODI cricket anymore," which is understandable. Mm-hmm. But he is then going to go play the IPL
for
early April for £2 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for me, if you want to retire from ODI cricket, fair play. I think that's completely fine. You have the right to do whatever you want in your life. Don't say it's because you don't have enough time. Say because they won't pay me £2 million.
Yeah, if you're going to shorten or curtail your activities, then fair enough. Go and play a banjo on the patio or whatever. Don't go to another series or to another sport or whatever. Because you often get this where people in rugby league or rugby in general, where people say, overseas players from Australia are like, "Oh, I'm just not enjoying my rugby. I'm not enjoying." And then all of a sudden they'll have signed a star-studded contract, in Cronulla Sharks or
France.
whatever, or they'll have gone back home just to see their family, and it's like, well, you've gone back to see your family, and you've also got 750,000 other reasons as to why you've gone home and things like that. So yeah, I think it's vile, George. I think it's an absolute. I think it's an exploitation of their otherwise wondrous talent. But yeah, it's not good.
Well, if you are a cricket fan across the world, or maybe perhaps if you're an Indian cricket fan, we would really like to hear from you. There will be an email in the description below about how you think India, or is there any way that India won't win the upcoming T20 World Cup?
Yes, give us in-depth analysis.
I don't see how India A and India B wouldn't come first and second in the T20 World Cup coming up.
And India C would have a right good go as well.
Yeah, India C. England might have a chance.
I think we'd edge them out. I think on our day, if everyone gets their heads down, we'd probably have a decent stick against India C. But yeah, cool.
Well, there we go. Joe, shall we move on to this week's Sunday quiz?
That was a seamless segue, that, George. Yes, we shall. Let's quiz.
The shoehorned in quiz. This week will be on the topic of trophies and which trophy do you get for completing a tournament or challenge in a certain sport. So I will be naming the trophy, and Joe will be having to give the sport that it is from. So we'll start with an easy one.
He says. From
what sport would you have to play to win the Ashes?
Oh, come on. That will be the wonderful sport of, pseudo-sport, some would call it, of cricket.
Very good.
Are there three, George?
I was warming you up because last week... No. Warm up with a few.
Oh, okay.
Because last week you complained because I gave you some too hard.
Shall I tap a light on, George? Am I looking a bit dark?
I think it's all right. We've done 23
Am I good?
minutes.
Yeah.
For continuity, it would now be bad.
Show business, isn't it? It's just one of those things.
Question number 2, the Webb Ellis Cup.
The Webb Ellis.
Of namesake who invented the sport.
Yes, of course. Webb Ellis. Is Webb Ellis? Is he Australian? No.
Of course, if you just say the name and all the accents, that'll give it to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Webb Ellis. No. I reckon. Is it? Oh, fuck's sake, Joe! Come on. I'm just going to say something like golf.
No, it's the Rugby World Cup.
Is it? What, Rugby Union?
It is. Yeah. Well, rugby.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. That's a conversation for another day.
Number 3, the Claret Jug. No, it's got nothing to do with
Claret
Burnley.
Jug. They're going to say that sounds.
who playing?
Sounds like a tattoo. The Claret Jug. coming.
And this is a sport, but it's a specific tournament of the sport.
Claret Jug. So it's got to be something to do with claret. I don't know why. Is it...
You can fit 2 beers in it.
2 beer...
Is a big hint.
Oh, so that's from last week. So it is golf then, this one. Right.
And it is which tournament of golf?
Claret Jug will be... is there an Australian Open of golf?
No, it is the Open, the British Open.
Oh,
it's what Cam Smith won last week.
Okay. I thought you'd gone a bit more rogue than that. Yeah, sidestepped it. Any more, George? Any more?
It's not perhaps called this, but the Silver Gilt Cup.
Silver Gilt. Christ, where are you bringing these from?
It has a pineapple on top.
So I'm instantly thinking exotic.
Well, the pineapple on top is quite famous.
The pineapple on top.
This will be the last question, I think.
Okay. For £80,000. Well, I'm going to have to say I've had a lovely day. The audience have been brilliant. You've been a wonderful host. I'm going to take the money. No. Just reiterate the name for me again, George. It's completely gone.
They receive a Silver Gilt
Silver
Cup.
Gilt will be in bowls.
No, it's what you get when you win Wimbledon.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what it's a Silver Gilt, and it has the pineapple on top.
Novak would know. No lay.
Novak would know. No vaccine, Novak.
Yeah.
The joke that's been
it's really
made
good, that mate. Yeah,
times,
nice and original.
Anyway, looking up to what's coming this week, what do we have? We have Burnley and the Championship kicking off on the 29th of July against Huddersfield Town.
I hear on the old Snapchat, George, that you've managed to acquire some pretty special tickets for a fixture middle of October. Is it something?
15th of October, Burnley Swansea at Turf Moor.
How far is it from Manchester?
25-minute train.
Come on. How many tickets do you have?
Yeah.
10.
Cost
you
£3.
and 9 friends could be whizzing your way down to Turf Moor. Just text gamesmanship to very nice. Okay, Turf Moor. I don't suppose they're box seats or anything. It's just standard regular seating.
No, front row.
Oh, really?
Row.
Of the main stand.
Just by the exit.
Okay. So we can hurl abuse.
So I can get a scarf signed
by your favourite centre forward,
primarily.
Oh no, I feel like
preferably.
I feel like your is your favourite player a centre forward in football for the Burnley side?
My favourite player for Burnley is still Dwight McNeil. Until he perhaps
where's he located
to
on
West
the pitch?
Ham this summer. Left wing.
I thought you'd have been a fan of a more sort of stable box-to-box midfielder, but there we go.
What, like a Josh Brownhill? Or
That's
a Jack
exactly
Cork?
who I was. You took the name right out of my mouth, mate. That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Well, no, but if we are there's a good chance we will get a signature from Vincent.
Oh, Vincent.
Which, yeah, if anyone's got any Man City apparel,
bring it. I mean, I'm
double the
in
price
my
of it.
Sunday Man City vest. Etihad. Yeah. If you are Man City or Burnley, please feel free to sponsor us as well.
Well, probably Man City because Burnley don't have the money.
I don't think I don't think we're asking for a great deal, are we, George? You mean that? But anyway, sports that are coming up this week, we've sidetracked a little.
Well, apart from because the football season's coming up, so we will be publishing a preview to the Premier League with my friend Josh, who runs his own football podcast. He does, called Football with Friends. So we will have that link and do a
collaboration
thing. Collaboration
between giants.
And then we also have the sort of loosely upcoming is the Gallagher Premiership in the rugby union in this country. So we will be giving an introduction to that. And I reckon, Joe, as a recurring feature, we should pick Fantasy Premier League.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, in the contrary to popular thought, I am a little bit of a football fan when I want to be, when I've got vested interest, and this is now officially vested interest because I think about this podcast all the time.
And I will be creating 2 fantasy teams. One that I will actually be trying in, and one where I pick all of the ex-Burnley players who are still in the Premier League.
For a laugh.
Because I can do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can do that now because a lot of them have gone because we're now in the Championship.
Sad story. But yeah, we've got obviously football's like, what's it, 2 weeks away, something like that, 2-3 weeks away for footy.
Well, Championship starts next week, and then the Premier League is
Excellent.
first week of August.
We've got the climax, as I'm sure you're all aware, of the Rugby League season coming up soon. Hull Kingstown Rovers have pretty much confirmed that they won't be relegated this season with a thrilling win at the Halliwell Jones Stadium in Warrington on Friday night. I'm sure you're all too aware of that result, but I'll just pop it in there. What else have we got? We've got the women's football. Dun dun dun.
Oh,
are we still in?
Yes.
I think we're still in, aren't
we're
we?
through on that. Yes. Because we beat Spain 2-1
Hey.
in Brighton. The game was with and there was a fantastic 30-yard
Screamer.
Winner in extra time to send England's women's side through.
Catapult
So
us through. Excellent.
if we get to the final, there could be a potential live stream of watching or something.
Yeah, commentary.
along the lines of that.
Oh, she's good, isn't she? Yes, go you.
Commentary.
So that would be mighty fine. My mum's got Germany in the whatever you call it. What do you do when you put your name in a hat? And the sweepstakes. She's got Germany in the sweepstakes. She's still very happy that the Germans are in. So yeah, could be a win-win in this house, but who knows? I think that's about it.
And and to finish off, I'd like to give. I don't know if you were aware, but last night or a couple of nights ago, there was a UFC London event, which is the Ultimate Fighter Championship, where people do mixed martial arts. And
I've seen this.
Paddy
Mm-hmm.
Pimblett gave a big shout out to men's mental health after his win, because he woke up a couple of weeks ago with a text that his mate had sadly killed himself, and I'm sure everyone around our age is ever present about the problem with men's mental health and the struggles of toxic masculinity and such. So we will do whatever part we can in supporting and just give a big thumbs up to Paddy for doing that, because it's an issue that is
Resounding
very
applause,
present and very important to
we
mention.
like to joke on this programme, but we're not joking now. That's a wonderful thing to be saying in front of such a big audience. So yeah, kudos, young man.
Exactly. And on that note, we will see you next
ciao.
week.